Welcome to Manga Mavericks at Movies, the show where we talk smack about movies. Yeah, I guess we're still going with that. Well, we're not talking smack about this movie because this movie was freaking fantastic.
Amazing.
It was a silent voice directed by Naoko Yamada, based on the manga by Yoshitoki Oma. That is like one of my old-time favorite manga. So, I've been anticipating this film for years.
Yeah, when did they announce this film?
They announced it when the manga was at its conclusion.
Yeah, they announced it with the final chapter.
That was 2014. So
2014, jeez.
Yes, I've been waiting like 2.5, 3 years for this movie, and it delivered, despite my trepidation.
Yeah, I remember when this was announced, we were like, oh, yeah, cool, silent voice. Then it's announced as a film, and we're all like, okay, cool, they can at least just adapt the child arc. Then they turn out they're going to be adapting the entire thing. It's KyoAni, the director who did K-On! Then some of the initial reception was a bit mixed.
Yeah.
Then it turned out to be, really acclaimed at film festivals.
Yeah, it was very strange, because the first reactions we heard about this movie when it came out in Japanese theaters were very negative. People saying it was a desecration of the manga. But, when we later heard buzz from, film festivals and stuff, people were praising this as a masterpiece. One of the best, anime movies ever. And on MAL, it has over a 9.12.
Yeah.
It's, ranked number 7, so this is, highly regarded in the community.
Yeah, so, film festivals, A Silent Voice and Your Name were essentially the big two heavy hitters.
Yeah.
At every film festival, those would be, the big, two deciding, films for, best film at the festivals. And usually Your Name would just edge it out a little bit, but it was always very close. There's still tons of the Silent Voice fans, and even the people who were voting Your Name would agree that A Silent Voice was amazing.
Yeah, Makoto Shinkai himself, praised the movie.
Yeah.
He thinks it was better than his own film.
Yeah, Shinkai, to be fair, is very hard on himself, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
I would say both are excellent films.
Yeah.
I actually probably would give the edge to Your Name, but we'll get to the reasons why later. But A Silent Voice is definitely worth the wait, definitely a worthy adaptation of the manga. It's beautifully directed, and I'd expect nothing less from Naoko Yamada. I'll go into, the misconception I had going into this, just being around communities I've been, because in the communities, we hang out with, K-On! And the likes of KyoAni's other shows are not very favorably looked upon.
Yeah, I mean, Fullmetal Panic Second Raid and Fumofu. Great series. Magi Brilliant Park, good. Sound Euphonium, I have not watched it, but I've heard good things. Aside from that, though,
Well, no, what I'm saying is I don't really agree with the stance of that community anymore. Because I have since, reevaluated what I've seen from KyoAni's work, and I've learned just more about their actual styles, particularly the style of Naoko Yamada, the director of this film, who directed K-On! And, she's a masterful director. In fact, the Pedantic Romantic put out a great video, explaining, that she is one of the strongest up-and-comers. She is a genius in the industry. For someone so young to have so many director credits under her belt, to be so widely regarded, to have, all her films and all her work be so critically acclaimed. She is one of the big names in the industry right now, and she's gonna go down as one of the greats.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever you have to say about, what happens or the story of her works, if you want to criticize that, you can't deny that her directing is genius and incredible.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about K-On!, but it's a well-produced show, for sure, and, even KyoAni in general. KyoAni as a studio, from both how they treat their employees and how their productions are done, are probably one of the best among Japanese studios, because they aren't overworking their employees as much as other studios, and their productions are very stable.
Yeah, KyoAni is probably the best studio in the anime industry, because they treat their animators so well, and their quality is so high.
And I think, regardless of how you feel about the show, you have to think about, if it's a good source, if it's a good team, it can be good. Just because you don't like X shows from KyoAni doesn't mean that silent voice can't be amazing.
Well, yes, and
Yeah.
again, Naoko Yamada, she is a genius director. She is like one of the best in the industry right now, and you can see like what she brings to this film in terms of how she is able to get so much out emotionally in like every shot of this movie. And of course, distractingly, at times you can see her emphasis on legs, which is one of her signature trademarks. But she's like really good at showing emotion just in the character's legs and how they walk and stuff. So, that's pretty genius in and of itself.
Like, you can see such subtle movements, like even like slight like nudges of the head, movements of the fingers. It's great.
She knows how to elicit the most emotion out of the most little movements. I think that's her expertise.
Yeah.
I think that's what she does so well that like few others can capture. Just breathing life into characters in such a subtle and such a naturally realistic way.
I think we should probably like do like a quick like rundown of like the premise of A Silent Voice.
I don't know how you don't know the premise of A Silent Voice. Basically, this kid called Shoya bullied a deaf girl named Shoko when they were elementary school students. Eventually, Shoya took it too far, and he was ostracized in turn by his classmates. And he, like, basically was left alone until, like, high school, and, like, just became so depressed and so, like, isolated that he attempts to kill himself. And we see that at the beginning of the film. And then, he's called back to his senses. Instead of doing that, he decides to make amends by, seeing Shoko again and, like, trying to, do right by her and make up for what he's done in the past and try to be friends with her like she wanted to be when they were kids. And that's the premise of the film.
Yeah, so, at least for me going into this, I had not read, like, a lot of the Silent Voice manga. I've read, like, probably, like, 2 or 3 chapters.
Yeah, I don't know how you haven't read A Silent Voice when it's, like, one of my favorite manga. And we have the entire manga.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, when the film was announced, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna read the entirety of A Silent Voice, and then it just never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, going into this, I knew, like, a lot of the basic plot beats, like, initial premise of how, like, Shoya is ostracized by his classmates, and then ending portion, because around that time, that's when you were doing manga recaps about it.
Right. Let me tell you, I caught up to the manga while it was still running at the point where Shoya jumps off of he falls off of the, balcony in his attempt to stop Shoko's suicide. So,
yeah,
that was like the chapter that I caught up on. I'm like, wow, what the? And that's the 2/3 point of the manga. So there's like 20 chapters after that. And I reviewed every one of those chapters on the Animation Revelation forums.
Yeah.
You can go back in the currently running manga thread. And, I wrote pretty lengthy summaries of every chapter.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the year, I combined all of them into, like, one. And it lasted, like, 2 posts. That's how long what I wrote was. So, yeah, I had so much passion for A Silent Voice. And that experience reading that last 2/3 of the series week by week as it came up was just an incredible experience, a moving experience, because every chapter was like this big revelation about a character with such fascinating insights about how bullying and like social alienation affects people, like redemption, like forgiving yourself, forgiving others. It's so many themes, so much interesting stuff to explore. The ending is so cathartic, and I absolutely love that manga, and that is why it's one of my all-time favorite manga. Top 5.
Damn.
This film, I don't think it lives up to how much I love the manga, because it can't go as far into what the manga did with its characters and teams in just 2 hours.
Well, 2 hours and 10 minutes, Sid.
They still can't go into 7 volumes.
Yeah, you can't adapt 7 volumes in that amount of time.
Not as deep. The character studies aren't as deep for most of the characters. And, like, most of the characters make it to the film, but, like...
It's clear that there's stuff cut out.
with a character like Mashiba, you don't really know anything about him in the film. He's just there. Whereas in the manga, he has just so much more character behind him. And
Mashiba was like the guy who was like hanging around Kawaii, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, those are two characters who get you get so much more insight into their minds in the manga.
Like, does Kawaii ever get any sort of redemption? Because for the most of this film, she's just kind of a lying bitch.
I wrote a very detailed analysis on the way Kawaii's mind works during the chapter where, like, the manga dives into it, because it was really fascinating. Like, she performs these mental gymnastics to always make herself the victim and, like, relieve herself of any wrong, which is simultaneously despicable, but also makes her kind of innocent in a way.
But they address it. So
They address
okay.
it, and, you know, she is pretty genuine as a character. Like, she isn't, like, lying. She doesn't, like, mean to lie. She just genuinely believes that
She thinks that
lying.
she did nothing wrong.
Yeah, she genuinely believes she thinks she didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
But, like, when she says, you know, she wants to help you, or, like, she gets teared up that they couldn't, like, get all 1,000 folded paper cranes, like, that's genuine. Like, she genuinely wants to help and do things. So, like, she's always a genuine person, but she can do something wrong and later not remember that as a wrong thing. Like, she'll always make herself the victim or innocent. So, like, she has a very twisted mind, but, like, her character is incredibly honest at the same time. So it's really complicated, but really fascinating. See, I really want to make a series of posts or videos or something that analyzes each of the characters in depth now, because this film, like how pretty much every film related to a franchise I've loved this year has made me want to do. It's like, it makes me want to go back to the source material and go through the whole thing again and make, like, this big statement about it. And, like, I feel with this film, it's rekindled the memories of why I love that manga so much, why I love these characters and this story and these themes so much. And it makes me want to, just go further into them. But a lot of it just isn't present in this film in of itself.
Yeah, like, you can see that there's character development happening off screen.
Yeah, like, Sahara's character arc is, like, it's just super abridged in this film.
And Ueda's, too, it seems.
And Ueno's, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they cut so much out of that. But, like, it still feels satisfying, Ueno's arc. You get the core beats. Like, you get that, she cares about Shoya, and, like, she has resentment towards Shoko, and she just can't bring herself to forgive her, or, like, make friends with her, but, like, at the end of the film, we see that she's learned, like, sign language, like, she's trying to communicate better with Shoko. She's trying to actually put in an effort now.
Right.
So, she gets her own little redemption of a sort by the end of the film for, like, her awful behavior before.
Yeah. I mean, going towards other characters that were great, I mean, I forget his name.
Nagasuka.
Nagasuka.
Nagasuka's hilarious, and there's just so much more with him in the manga again. Because the film cuts out the entire movie subplot. In the manga, the reason, like, all the characters eventually, like, become friends is, like, Nagasuka and Shoya recruit them to help them make this movie for a film contest.
Oh.
So, they cut the entire film and film contest part out, which I'm going to say it makes the part where Shoko is going around and trying to, get everyone back together kind of loses that purpose behind it. Because in the manga, what she was trying to do is get everyone back together so they could complete the film for Shoya. That's what she was doing. She was, like, trying to, get everyone to help make the film, and, like, that would be, like, restoring what had been lost and restoring, like, everything Shoya had worked for. But in the film, like, she's just going around, I guess she wants them to try and be friends with Shoya again. It's like, it's just not as strong an idea as, like, what was in the manga. Like, them coming back together to complete this film for their friend.
But I guess another thing in here is, like, them becoming friends is, like, when Kawaii and, like, what's his face? Forget his name.
Mashiba.
Yeah, Kawaii and Mashiba. When they first become friends with Shoyo, it's just, like, a random, like, dialogue with him. Hey, let's be friends.
Right, in the manga, there was an actual reason, like, they needed them to help make the film.
Yeah, it feels kind of random, because, like, Like,
Yeah.
literally, like, Shoyo just goes up to Kawaii, asks why she changed her hair. Kawaii's like, hey, Shoyo, let's become friends.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
you know, I can understand them needing to keep Kawaii, because Kawaii is pretty important to what happens to Shoya getting kind of outed at school, which causes him to, like, you know, lose the friend circle, like, that had been forming around him, because he feels shame from, like, what he had done to Shoko before, and then, like, he just tells everyone honest, like, things about them that are, like, very hurtful, and drives them away, and so they needed Kawaii for that, because Kawaii was, like, what made that happen. But, you know, Mashiba, he loses, like, his role in the film.
He's kind of just there. I'm assuming, yeah, he had a much larger role in the manga, right?
Yeah, he had more of a role, he had more of a purpose to him, instead of just being, like, some random guy who wanted to be Shoya's friend. Like, he had, like, his own, like, kind of twisted, like, things that he had inside of him, like, his own, like, demons and, like, way of thinking that he had to address and challenge, and, you know, he has to reconsider what he thinks about Shoya, because, like, he is, like, so staunchly anti-bullying that when he finds out what Shoya did to Shoko, he punches him.
Fuck.
So, like, you know, he has to, like, really reevaluate, you know, Shoya and, like, himself. So he had his own very interesting chapter that really explored his character. So, like, all the characters in the manga were, like, very deeply characterized, had so much to them. But in the film, it removes a lot of the layers to, like, most of them, besides Shoya and Shoko and Yuzuru.
I guess that's the part of the sacrifice of adapting something this long into a mere 2 hours. Because you can't cover everything. You simply can't. But at the very least, what this film does right is that covers the essence of the story.
It does. It covers, like, Shoya going from a social outcast and someone who did something horrible in the past to redeeming himself, like doing right by the girl he bullied, and then also reconnecting with people again and gaining a friend circle again.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about this, there's so many different ways this movie could have become a train wreck. They could have just tried to cover way too much in like too little of a time, and just been like some muddled, unfocused mess. But they found a way to streamline it into a strong 2-hour film that may not be as good as the manga, according to manga fans, but it still is enjoyable on its own.
Well, yeah, it captures the thematic heart of the manga, that story of redemption and what it means to be a friend. Like, the core scene of the movie is like when Shoya is asking Nakasuka, like, you know, is it really okay to be friends? Like, what are the qualifications to be someone's friend? And Nagatsuka, like, smokes his fry like a cigarette and then acts all coolly to Shoya and says, qualifications? You don't need something like that to be friends. Being something friends is, like, much bigger, more personal than that.
Nagatsuka is so great.
Yeah, he's such a great personality. But yeah, that's the heart of the movie. Like, you don't need qualifications to be friends with someone. You just, like, need to spend time with them, hang out with them, enjoy each other's company, and be there for them when they need you to. And that's what friendship is in this movie. Shoya's friends rally around him when he's in trouble. They come there for him. And, like, they don't hold what he said to them against him. Like, as Nakasuka again tells him, you know, things like that happen all the time with life. But, you know, I want you as my friend. I want you to be here with me. So don't go anywhere too far away, man. Don't die on me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, those two scenes with Nagasuka, when I think about it, are actually, like, the core, like, they capture, like, the core theme of this movie. Like, more than any of the scenes with Shoya and Shoko, interestingly enough. Yeah. Although, again, I mean, there is, like, of course, the scene where they meet on the bridge. You know, Shoko has that vision of, like, Shoya passing away, and so she wakes up and runs to the bridge, and then Shoya also, like, wakes up and runs to the bridge, and so, you know, he tells her, like, I want you to show me the way. I want to be able to stand tall and, you know, look at people again. I want you to help me with that. So, you know, that's another, like, key scene in the movie in terms of its themes and, like, emotional catharsis of, like, the entire film. And, like, I thought what it did beautifully was how it used the X's on everyone's faces. That's a key part of the manga. And, like, where the film ends, it ends at a much earlier place in the manga, but it completes Shoya's character arc. Because the final scene of the film is when all the X's on everyone's faces start finally peeling away. And now he can see everyone's faces. He can see all the joy that's around him, all that he has around him, all of his friends that are there for him and, like, enjoy his company and are around. And, like, he is a part of a group again. He isn't alone anymore. He has so much now. And that's just so beautiful. And that's just, like, a great, like, place to leave off of. And it feels complete. The movie downplays, actually, the romance between Shoya and Shoko that was, like, there in the manga, which is pretty interesting. Not that, like, it changes any of the scenes to, like, remove the romance subplot, but that's not where it ends. It doesn't end, like, where it's Shoya and Shoko holding hands to face the future together. It ends with just Shoya looking around at the festival at all his friends around him. So it's less about those two together and then more like Shoya and, like, everyone around him. So that's actually a very interesting change in terms of the framing of this movie and Shoya's character arc and, like, what it relates to.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, chapter-wise, like, how many chapters, like, are left past where the film left off, like, that final scene?
Not a whole lot, I think. Maybe 4 or 5.
Huh. Okay.
Like, again, they have to resolve the stuff with the film, so there's a great chapter where they show the film, finally, and, like, everyone, like, bashes it and picks it apart. And so afterwards they're kind of all down, but then they start laughing it off, saying, what do they know? So, that's another cute chapter. And then there's some other, like, wrap-up chapters, and the series ends with, like, them graduating high school.
Yeah. On a side note, moving to a different topic, one thing I noticed complaint-wise about this film on social media is that a lot of people don't like the whole visual style of it, like, how the lighting and, like, I guess the overall contrast of how the images are displayed. Like, there's this very, like, light overtone to it.
Yeah, I guess, and maybe they could have upped the contrast a little more to give some more darker tones, but I thought it looked beautiful. Like, there's just some stunning sequences. Yeah. Like, the first time Shoya's walking in the hallway, and we're seeing, like, all the X's around people's faces, and, like, the just claustrophobia, and, like, the anxiety he feels. Like, the frame is all fuzzy, and, like, it's so blindingly bright, and, like, it's just so good in the way this film communicates visual and emotional information. My God. It's just masterful directing. See, I really need to explore Naoko Yamada's body of work more deeply now. Because in order to do a really comprehensive analysis of this film, I really need to understand that style. And so that's what I really need to do. I really need to understand her body of work.
So you need episode-by-episode analysis of K-On?
I don't know, but I do need to actually rewatch K-On. And now that I'm, like, free from the misconceptions of what Moe is, and, like, K-On as whatever it represented to this anti-Moe stance, now that I'm free of those misconceptions and can see the show and, like, for what it actually is, I think I'd, like, appreciate it a lot more now, and also, like, on a visual level. Like, from what I've seen of Season 2 in particular of that show, it is just really masterfully directed. So, that's why I really want to explore the work of this woman. Because she is, like, a big name, and who knows what she could go on to create. She's just so early on into her career. She's, like, in her early 30s? Like, Jesus. Like, she could... No, I think late 20s even. I don't know.
That's about the same age as Oima.
Yeah. But, she's had so much under her belt already. Yeah. So...
Maybe she'll direct To Your Eternity's anime if it ever gets an anime.
I mean, hopefully. But, yeah, I mean, I need to explore the body of work, because I'm just not qualified right now, having so little experience with it outside of this film, and the first season of K-On!, which I watched years ago.
I think I watched, like, 4 episodes of K-On! With you. Yeah, I should watch K-On! At some point, probably.
But, this is another film that after seeing it, I really want to see it again. This is a film I could probably watch endlessly, just like the manga. I could go back to it and see, because it's just so rich with so many things going on.
Yeah. Currently in the US, as of the time we're recording this, A Sound Voice is not licensed. Though technically you can get it if you live in the US. You can still create a UK iTunes account and then buy a UK iTunes gift card from some online store, and then buy it off UK iTunes. Because right now, Anime Limited has licensed in the UK. They've released it on a bunch of digital platforms, Google Play, Amazon, Amazon, and then iTunes. So if you have some way to access any of those versions of Amazon, iTunes, etc., on the UK servers, then buy it off there. Please try to support this legally if you can. I know a lot of people who work for like Crunchyroll and ANN have done this, so it's not impossible to do. It's not difficult to do. I think at most it probably took me 20 minutes to buy it, at most, and part of that time was me just trying to figure out where to get a gift card, which really you can just get from anywhere. So yeah, hopefully at some point this film will get licensed in the US. I'd be surprised if it doesn't, because it's so huge at this point.
Yeah, it's very acclaimed. It's developed such a great reputation that it'd be a shame that if we don't get it in the US.
Yeah.
And specifically, if we don't see a theatrical screening of this in the US, because I need to see this movie on the big screen.
It's just so mind-boggling that this doesn't happen. Especially since Anime Limited has announced that, an English dub is being produced, so someone is going to dub this, and likely it's going to be some US studio, because usually the UK gets our dubs. So it kind of brings up the question, like, why hasn't this been licensed yet? And maybe it has to do with some sort of like Pony Canyon USA meddling or something. Because Pony Canyon was involved with the music production in this. So they probably have some stake in the film. And in recent years they have been trying to license that to their US subsidiary. So maybe it has something to do with that. But regardless, I really hope this gets a US release at some point. Otherwise, I might consider just buying a region-free Blu-ray player and getting that Anime Limited DVD release when that comes out in, I think, December.
So someone please license this.
Please license this.
Please license this for North America. Please show this in theaters in North America. I saw Your Name in theaters 4 times. I would see this as many times if given the chance, if not more.
Yeah, I would definitely see this again. And, yeah, I mean, it'd be such a shame for this not to be licensed with how much acclaim it's gotten, even since the Anime Limited digital release. Like, before that, it was, I think, top 20 on MAL. Ever since Anime Limited released their digital release on their digital platforms, it's now in the top 10. It's insane how that you can skyrocket that much in just a short amount of time. That just shows how much this film has resonated with people. Just how much people love this film. It is a Your Name level success.
Yeah, the emotions are really raw and really widespreading. Like, it has, like, this insane appeal because of, like, just how relatable these characters feel. Like, this story feels. Like, everyone has either experienced bullying, seen bullying, or been the bully. And, like, Your Name's story of friendships, of persevering through hardships, and the bonds between people, and then redeeming yourself for, hurting people in the past. I think it, like, connects with a lot of people, because these are experiences we all go through, and, like, still, like, challenges and things in the back of our mind that we struggle with every day. Like, what does it mean to really be a friend? Am I really qualified to be this person's friend? Can I be this person's friend after what I've done, who I am? Like, it's about looking at yourself, looking that you are worth it, that you are worth being around, that you are worth having friends, and that there are people out there who want to be friends with you and will be friends with you and will support you. Like, there are people there for you in this world.
Yeah, it's a fantastic message of...
There are people who will hear your voice.
Yeah.
Your voice is not silent.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, people, check out this film. Support it legally, because you can support it legally. I don't want to hear it's too much of a hassle type of crap. If you have the money to buy the film, go buy the film, please.
I mean, it's pretty cheap too, right? Only $20 or something?
You could think it cost me $15 only.
Yeah,
so it's not expensive. It's pretty average price for an anime film. And honestly, making a UK iTunes account isn't that hard.
Yeah.
Especially for Maxie B, because he lives in the UK.
Yeah.
Maxie, you lucky bastard.
You're pretty lucky, man. I am envious of you. You probably got to see it in theaters. Or even if you didn't go,
Anime Unlimited did theatrical releases.
Yeah, but even if he didn't go, like, he had the chance to. He at least had the chance.
And he'll be able to buy the Blu-ray in December.
Yeah, so, dang, Maxie, you're so lucky. But
why can't we all live in the UK?
But, I mean, hopefully the rest of us in the US and elsewhere.
If we might have to pay those Pony Canyon USA prices. Oh, God.
I mean, if it has worthwhile bonus features, maybe.
What, are you willing to pay $60 for a silent voice?
Yeah, if it has worthwhile bonus features. Like, this is a movie that is worth that much to me. Because it's so good. Yeah,
but what if it's just the Blu-ray?
If it's just the Blu-ray, then no. But, like, Pony Canyon releases, like, they usually have a little more.
Yeah, it's like, if you remember the Madoka movie 3 Rebellion Blu-ray release, it's probably going to be like that. So it, like, has, like, a lot of extra pack-ins with it.
Sure, but, like, what I really want are, like, director commentaries, like, interviews, behind-the-scenes making-ups, include all that on the disc.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to have some of that.
That's what I love watching. I love watching that kind of stuff. I love learning more about what went into the movie. And there's just plenty of great information on this movie already on the web. You can find many interviews with Naoko Yamada about the making of this film, the intentions behind it. Like, there's some great stuff out there. And I would highly recommend doing the research, looking at all that. So I certainly have collected a lot and will be parsing through this. And, like, hopefully one day I can make something out of it, but I have that obligation to your name first.
Yeah, also check out the original manga, unlike me, because don't be like me and not read the manga.
It's all legally available.
Yeah,
it's on Crunchyroll Manga if you have a subscription.
It's on Crunchyroll Manga, it's on Comixology, it's on a bunch of different places. It's also in print from Kodansha USA. It's, for US people, it's as legally available as it ever possibly can.
It's only 7 volumes long, too, so it's not going to break your bank.
Yeah, you're not going to be going broke over this. This is the ultimate muscle we're talking about.
Well, that's a special circumstance.
$120 for Volume 7, people. I'm never going to get that volume.
Well, we'll see. And who knows? I managed to look out and get, like, the out-of-print Excel Saga volumes, but...
Yeah... Why can't I be like Maxie? He has Volume 7. Damn you, Maxie.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Silent Voice, its story is as far-reaching and emotionally cathartic as ever. And I'm so glad to finally be able to see this film. Not just for the experience of watching, but also now I can finally listen to all those other podcasts by other people about this film.
You haven't listened to them at all?
No, I haven't listened to them.
But you've read the manga. What did...
I didn't want to be spoiled about what was in the film. Because I didn't know what the film changed or like what was going to be interesting to look out for. And also, if I had listened to those, I'd be influenced when talking on this podcast.
Good point, actually.
I don't want to repeat stuff that other people have already said on other podcasts.
Hashtag Sid has copied Digibro. 0 out of 10.
When did I copy Digibro?
Good point. Aside from not liking A1 Pictures anymore.
What? I like A1. I don't hate A1 Pictures. I don't hate A1 Pictures at all.
You said that you didn't like A1 Pictures anymore.
I mean, I recognize the bad parts about them. It's not. I don't have a hatred for them. Like, I like plenty of their shows, mostly adaptations of manga. I like Silver Sword and Magi.
1 year from now, Sid starts hating all A1 Pictures adaptions.
Yeah, I doubt that will happen.
That's what they all say, Sid. Before the Digi gets you.
There were good A1 Picture shows just last year that I liked. Like Erased and, well, I like most of Erased. But it's better than the manga. See, the Erased anime was better than the manga, so that's an A1 Pictures adaptation.
Is the manga really that convoluted?
It's not convoluted.
You said the ending was really convoluted.
I mean, their plan to, capture Yashiro to expose his identity, it is kind of over the top in the manga.
Like, don't they go on a camping trip or something?
Yeah, they go on a camping trip and this bridge and
they burn the bridge or something.
Yeah, it's just
metaphors.
I don't even know if it's just metaphorical of anything. It's just really over the top for what the story was. But that's not even the reason I don't like the manga. They just like that entire the entire part after Yashiro's identity is revealed, all the 20 chapters that happen after that, I just don't care
There's
about.
20 chapters after that?
Yeah.
Isn't this a monthly series? Or
It was a monthly series. Like,
Jesus.
they condensed that entire thing into 2 episodes and completely changed the ending in the anime, so they made it so much better in the anime. This isn't an erased podcast, you know? But,
yeah, that's about 1 year too late.
yeah. Hey, we saw Black Butler, Book of the Atlantic just a couple weeks ago. I love that.
Oh yeah, that was A1. Okay, Sid is not Digi.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where you're talking about. Anyway, I guess we're done talking about a silent voice if we've rambled about A1 Pictures or whatever now.
Yeah, probably.
So, I guess this will be the end of the
wait, we forgot to talk about Your Name or Silent Voice.
I already said that I prefer Your Name because, I mean, I can't help but judge a silent voice the film to a silent voice the manga, right? So I look at the manga and it just has so much more in it. So even as beautifully directed as the film is, like, when I have that manga to compare it to, it will fall short in comparison, even though this film is so beautiful. And I probably could put it in, like, my top 10 anime films. But Your Name, just as an experience, and, like, every time I've gone and seen it, like, I keep getting more and more out of it. So, like, Your Name to me is just, like, on a higher level. But you also need to keep in mind, I've only seen a silent voice of the film once at this point. So I need to watch it, like, a few more times.
There's a lot of details in that film.
I've seen Your Name 5 times. So, obviously, I'm going to be a little more biased in its favor because I've just had more time to observe it.
Do you think if you had read Makoto Shinkai's original novel for Your Name, would that influence your opinion about the film?
I don't know if the novel is better, and it's also like a tie-in to the film.
Well, the film is an adaptation of the novel. Shinkai wrote the novel before the film.
But it didn't come out before the film.
It did come out before the film.
Barely.
It came out a month before the film because Shinkai, publishing-wise, it just became like a mess.
Sure, but
it was written well before the film.
But they were made in conjunction with each other. Like, even if it came out first, like, they were made side by side. It was like a multimedia project.
Well, no, the film was written first, and then he took the story of the film, of the book, and then he adapted that into the film.
You just said the film was written first.
No, the book was written first, and then he took that story and adapted it into the film.
Okay. Sure, I don't know, because, again, I don't know, like, if the book is even better. And also, Shinkai is, like, such a visual director. Like, that's where Shinkai's field of expertise is, and it's a little bit different, like, his taking his written work and making it his own visual work. Like, if A Silent Voice was, like, a original film by Naoko Yamada, based on her work, that would be a little bit different. It'd be easier to, like, think about what I would prefer. But it's not. It's an adaptation. And, like, Makoto Shinkai adapting his own work.
It's like Miyazaki adapting his own stuff.
It's like Otomo adapting Akira.
Yeah, that too.
It's really hard to say, like, do I feel like creator's intent was missed? Do I feel like there's something missing here? Because the creator made his own film adaptation.
Yeah. I think the other thing to consider, too, is that the Your Name novel is also pretty short. I think it's like... I was peeking at it before we were recording this, because we were at a local BNN, and it's only, like, 180 pages.
Uh-huh.
So, that's not very long for a film, but Your Name's like 2 hours, so...
Yeah,
that's pretty easily adaptable.
I feel like Makoto Shinkai could pack way more into images than he could describe in words.
Yeah. Once you take out all the imagery of Your Name, that probably goes pretty quickly, plot-wise.
Yeah. I mean, that's just such a big part of the appeal of that film. And it's a big part of the appeal of the Silent Voice film, but it has just such a strong story underlying it that gives just another level for you to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to give my, like, Your Name versus Silent Voice thing, I'd probably have to lean towards Your Name, but still it's, like, very close. A Silent Voice is just such a fantastic film that it's hard to say which one's better.
Yeah, they're both, like, the best anime movies in a long time. I think that the accolades they've been given is proof enough of that.
Yeah, they definitely deserve those top 10 spaces on ML.
Indeed.
For sure.
But we'll have to see how time looks back on these films and, like, what their legacy will be.
Hopefully memorably. Adaptation-wise, this is a good sign for Oima and her future work. definitely, hopefully, more of a manga down the line get as stunning adaptations as this did. So, yeah.
So I guess we'll see. I mean, I certainly will revisit this film and Your Name more times in the future.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I'm certainly not done talking about them, and hopefully I'll be able to go into them in more depth than I could on this, like, rambling podcast we do.
Yeah.
Where we just top of the head, spur of the moment kind of things.
This is a deep, intricate podcast, Sid. I don't know what you're talking about. We talked about Totoro being a secret drug dealer.
That episode will probably come out after this, so no one will know what you're talking about.
Good point, but still, Totoro's a drug dealer. All the signs are there.
So look forward to our discussion of the secret meanings behind My Neighbor Totoro whenever that podcast gets released. But for now, that does it for this episode of Manga Mavericks at Movies. VLord GTC, where can the good people find you?
The people can find me on Twitter at VLordGTZ. That is VLORDGTZ. You can also find me on MAL under the same name. And yeah, that's about it. If you want to talk to me about JoJo or Detective Conan or anything of the sort, hit me up. And yeah.
You can find me at LumRamiasha on Twitter and on basically everywhere else. That's my username, such as Animation Revelation and MAL. As for the show, you can follow Manga Mavericks at manga_Mavericks on Twitter, mangamavericks.tumblr.com on Tumblr, and on our YouTube, Manga Mavericks. Just search for it. It'll be the first result. Remember, guys, we need those 100 subscribers to get that custom URL, so please subscribe and like our content on there, as well as rate and review us on iTunes, because both of those things will help our channel grow. As for the show, you can also find it on oldcomic.com. That's where these podcasts first appear. And you can also, if you want to suggest movies or give us comments and criticisms, you can send those in to mangamavericks@gmail.com. We love hearing feedback from you guys, and we love answering your questions. And we haven't gotten any of those for Manga Mavericks at Movies yet, so we certainly could use them.
But please ask us questions.
Yeah.
Please.
We want to do a Manga Mavericks at Movies Q&A special.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no.
But that does it for this episode of Manga Mavericks at Movies. And I guess we'll see you in the next one. Sayonara.
Later.